Hello everyone! About 3 months ago, I made a top 10 creepy stories in World of Warcraft video in which I talked about my top 10 creepy things in the game. I also wondered what you guys and girls found creepy yourself, and I've received a whole lot of comments or suggestions, some that I didn't have time for to talk about last time and some that simply blew my mind. There were enough comments to make another video about the subject. This time we're going to cover 5 more creepy things or stories in Warcraft. In the spirit of Halloween, I invite you to close the curtains, gather around, and let's talk about these creepy things. Now, a minor warning before we begin: some lore in Warcraft is pretty dark and some stories are not for the faint of heart, so you have been warned. Viewer discretion is advised. The first one on the list: the Children of Goldshire. Goldshire and the area around it is known for some pretty creepy things, from the ERP taking place in the inn to the crazy cat lady holding on to a nice big cleaver. But most stay far away from the town in the early morning, since that's the time that the Children of Goldshire make their rounds. Aaron, Cameron, Dana, John, Josie and Liza, they can all be found on the second floor as the most northern house in Goldshire. Reports say that they used to form a pentagram, but several have been seen standing around in other formations like a box or an hourglass. Either way, the children have been subject to research by many, yet none have lived to tell the tale of what they're truly doing here. Some say that they're simply a reference, a little Easter egg to the Diablo franchise, yet others swear that these are the children who witnessed a horrible event. In the book Blinking Rules and Regulation, one encounter describes the removal of a certain individual called Harland Wilson, who had blinked himself into the statue of General Turellian. They had to bring in magma from Idaforce to get him out of there, and although collateral damage was moderate, the nearby school children witnessed the general being melted to retrieve this individual, and they were consequently scarred for life. Scarred in such a way that the children started to worship things like Diablo and the old gods. Perhaps this is the reason why the children stay exactly 666 yards from the statue when they travel to Stormwind. In their room, you can hear eerie, creepy music being played. Touching these children will have banshee screams assaulting your ears, and even the old god Cafoon will have a thing or two to say when you get close to the children.
You will die.
Heed my warning, dear viewers, stay away from these children. Some secrets are best kept in the dark. Some stories are best left alone, but if you can't resist, if you're too curious, you have to check it out. Head on out to the town of Goldshire and find these kids yourself. The second one on our list, it's the capital of Lordaeron itself. From the Headless Horseman, which I talked about around 2 years ago, to forcing Vasarian to kill his own mother, to Thaddeus and everything else going on in Naxxramas. The storylines with the undead, they're some of the creepier things that Blizzard has come up with, but a lot of you mentioned in the comments a specific thing: the throne room where Arthas killed his father. Imagine for a moment that your beloved prince and your beloved son returns home after being lost for months. The bells ring, colorful petals are tossed down by all those that had come out to welcome them all home. But Arthas was no longer the prince they knew. He now listened to the whispers of Frostmourne, who told him that it was time.
Ah, my son.
You no longer need to sacrifice for your people. You no longer need to bear the weight of your crown. I've taken care of everything.
What is this? What are you doing, my son?
Succeeding you, father.
The son murdered the father, and the kingdom of Lordaeron fell to the might of the Scourge. Even now, a small patch of blood where the crown fell can be seen in the throne room. The flowers, they still linger on the path taken by the prince, and even the echoes of the past will not be silent. With the ambience turned up all the way, you can clearly hear the memories of the past whispering to you. When adventurers are brave enough, they can move outside into the courtyards, they can step into the shadows to find out that the spirits of Lordaeron will find no rest. It seems like the Forsaken are not the only ones that call the ruins of Lordaeron their home. Next up, the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron. Once upon a time, Blizzard decided to add a fun little item to the game which you can get with archaeology, the puzzle box of Yogg-Saron. This item has reached levels of trying to obtain the Ashbringer way back during Classic. Many heroes have tried and failed to unlock the secrets in the box. Before solving the artifact, the description says, each of the fragments of this artifact emits a nonsense whisper that blends into a maddening susurrus as you accumulate more objects. You hope you know what you're doing. And then, after solving the artifacts, this small box has many shifting panels, moving hinges and hidden clasps. Yet no matter how you manipulate them, it seems impossible to actually open the box to reveal the contents within. It is also difficult to even try, because the dark artifact constantly whispers to you, "It was your fault. It was your fault. It was your fault. It was your fault!"
You betray your friends.
When you use the item, the box will whisper to you, and it gives what some believes clues to the location where the box might finally open. It whispers things like, "In the sleeping city of Nealofa walk only mad things. Nealofa, there is only sleep. Nealofa is a city of old, terrible, unnumbered crimes."
You will rest in Nyalofa.
Even the old god Yasharaj has heard of Nealofa, since he states that we'll rest there, but we have no idea where Nealofa is. With these whispers, it seems connected to dreaming though. Emerald Dream, Emerald Nightmare. Could Legion finally be the expansion which is going to bring us answers? The answers that we've been searching for so long? The fish know all the secrets. They know the cold. They know the dark. You will be alone in the end. Do you dream while you sleep? Or is it an escape from the horrors of reality? There are truly some disturbing messages going on here, and I'll link a video made by Exomaga around 2 years ago now, in which he or she tries to unlock the secrets and comes up with some interesting stuff. Not just the puzzle box is creepy either, the whole Old God storyline has sent many down into a spiral of madness. There was Cthulhu giving us heart attacks by whispering to us as we cleared the raid.
You are already dead.
Yogg-Saron himself, with the whole corruption of his keepers, the madness that he dished out here and there, the connections to the Lich King, the Demon Soul, and possibly Garona. There was Yasharaj with his different Shah that liked to give jump scares. All in all, some pretty creepy stuff. Number 4 on our list goes to Outland and the original Hordes. This is a comment directly taken from the previous video. Oh man. I remember when I first got to Hellfire, I heard the screams of other newbies in general chat crying out for help while getting ganked by groups of Horde players. No, but seriously, one of the creepiest things in WoW is the Path of Glory. When I first read the quest from the Draenei in Honor Hold, I was shocked. That whole road was made out of Draenei bones. Still creeps me out every time I go there. On top of that, Aleska also mentioned what was required in order to empower and open the Dark Portal for the first time. The orcs on Draenor had nearly exterminated all the Draenei by this point, yet a young Draenei child had been found and they captured it. At the Dark Portal, the Horde had gathered to see the path to a brighter future open before them, to which Gul'dan told them, "Blood is a pure offering to those who give us these vast powers. And the blood of a child is purer still. With the life fluid of our enemies, we will open the portal and step into a glorious new world. A new page in the history of the Horde." He approached the bound child, who looked up at him with empty eyes. Gul'dan raised a jeweled dagger. It glinted in the sunlight. "No!" screamed Duratan of the Frostwolf clan. But it was already too late. Members of the Horde tackled him down to the floor as the sacrifice was made and the portal was empowered with the sacrifice of an innocent. Alexa had another suggestion connected to the storyline, the aftermath of Shevrev. description of orcs torturing and raping the unlikely survivors after the battle in Unbroken is not a pleasant one. For those unaware, Shefrev was the final city the orcs had to take from the Draenei, and before the assault they gulped down some delicious demon juice. The Draenei had figured out what the Burning Legion was trying to do, how the orcs were turned into their enemies, and they decided to hide away in the Zangarmarsh while a large portion of their people they stayed behind to make it look like all the Draenei were exterminated. The plan in the end worked. Kil'jaeden left the orcs and the planet to its fate, but the aftermath of the Battle of Shefrev is described in a gruesome way. This is taken from the short story Unbroken, where the Draenei Nobundo wakes up after the battle. Again his ears were assaulted by the screams of a female, accompanied by taunts and jeers. The orcs were celebrating, reveling in their victory. Looking up, he pinpointed the source of the noise. High above, jutting out from the cliffs of the Barrier Hills, the Draenei had built Aldor Rise. There the orcs were torturing some poor female Draenei. I must try to stop them. But how? Alone with a broken leg, one against hundreds, one who had been abandoned by the light, armed with only his hammer, how could he stop the madness of falling above? I must find a way. Frantically, he crawled over the corpses, slipping in the fluids, shutting the putrid stench and raw viscera out of his mind. He worked his way around the outer circle of Lower City, toward the base of the cliffs where the wall met the mountain. He would find a way to climb up there, he would! The screaming stopped. He looked up to see shadows silhouetted by moonlight. They carried a still form to the edge of the overlook and then swung, tossing the lifeless cargo down into the depths. It landed with a dull thud not far from where Nobundo lay motionless. He crept forward, looking for any signs of life from the female. Shaka, he determined her name to be when he drew close enough to see her features. He had seen her many times before, though they had only spoken on brief occasions. He had always found her pleasant and engaging. Now she lay battered and bruised, her throat cut, her lifeblood drained. At least for her, the pain was over. Another scream issued from above, the voice of another female. Rage welled within Nobundo, rage and frustration and an overwhelming desire for vengeance. There is nothing you can do. That's a small piece taken from the story, and I'll link the full story down below in the description if you want to check it out. It's quite a story. It's called Unbroken, a free short story on the WoW website. Now the comment pointed out that the female Draenei were raped by the orcs, but the torturing, it could have been done in many different ways. It's not completely impossible though, since we do know about Gul'dan and his breeding experiments. He brought together an orc and a Draenei in order to create his assassin, Garona Half-Orcan. Then there is the final bit about all of this, a comment by Shindomaru. The forces of Azeroth storm the Dark Portal for the first time, and while the bulk of them fight against the demons on the stairs of destiny, you are sent to your safe little base behind the fighting. You are tasked with obtaining meat of Felbor for the forces. It sounds easy enough, till you hear the rumble of each step. You look around and see nothing. Other adventurers shout and scream and run. You turn around and you see it, the massive monstrosity known only as the Fel Reaver. Its wicked roar is the last thing you hear before you're sent to the spirit world, other than your own scream. Number 5, the final one on our list, is The Legend of Stalvan, a story that many of you were surprised that it didn't make it in on the original list. The story and the questline has been changed between Classic and the Cataclysm now. It went as following during Classic. One night, Madame Eva felt a horrible disturbance rippled through her veins. She sensed that her granddaughter Eliza was in great danger. She consulted the cards, and death itself stared up at her from the table. After a long journey through a dark trance, she was able to uncover a clue to this terrifying mystery. A single name called out, the name of Stalvan. This is the introduction to a big quest chain which sends you all over the place in order to uncover the events as to what happened with this person called Stalvan. Stalvan Mistmantle of Silverpine eventually became a tutor to the children of Lord Frintrich of Stormwind. Here's how the story goes as he describes in his journals. Giles the boy seems a bit rambunctious and will be a challenge to educate. However, The elder daughter Tiloa seems exceptionally smart. I couldn't help but to notice her captivating beauty as well. She is on the cusp of womanhood now. Supposedly, the Lord has arranged her marriage for next year. But I digress. This week, I will accompany the family to their summer cottage near the Eastvale logging camp in Elwyn, close to the Red Ridge Mountains. I hope to write more while there. Most strange and uncontrollable feeling. Never have I felt the way I did today. Whilst assisting Giles with his history lesson, Tiloa was outside tending to the flower garden. After a few minutes he came inside and placed a scarlet begonia in my open palm and smiled at me in such a way that my heart felt as though it was trembling within my chest. Most certain that she shares the same feeling for me now. She even placed her hand on mine this morning. When she smiles, her eyes light up like glittering diamonds. Unspoken words pass between us. I could feel her in my pounding heart and heated veins. Anger and fury, the likes of which I never knew existed. How dare she? As I was introducing Giles in the meaning of numbers, Tiloa appears before me with a suitor, holding hands in public nonetheless. What an uncouth young man. Rather than introduce me properly, Tiloa simply said, "Oh, that's just my tutor, Uncle Stalvan. He's a nice old man." Old. At the words, my cheeks flushed with heat. I am but a few years older, and yet she betrays. Downward spiral of despair. First she mocks me, and now she is engaged. The ungracious charlatan was pretending to love, when truly she desired to hurt me all along. A black void lurks within me now, and it grows with each waking moment. The blood I shall spill pales in comparison to the tears I have shed. Stalvan was consumed by hatred, and he murdered Tiloa, her husband, and her whole family at the Eastvale logging camp. He then hid the bodies shortly after, fleeing his home in Stormwind to return to his old house near Darkshire in Duskwood. Adventurers were asked to take care of this murderer, and they brought back the mismantled family ring to Madame Eva, completing the quest chain. Now in the Cataclysm, the quest got a little revamp, and this time it's Stalvan's brother Tobias who wants to know what happened to his brother, but any mention of his name is met with terror and suspicion. We're asked to go to the clerk for any information, and there we find out that feral Worgans, they broken into the town hall not a few nights ago, and they tore the place to shreds. The documents will probably be spread all over the place, probably found in very unlikely places, but we're heroes and we bring it all together. With the information collected, Tobias can't believe what he reads. His brother was strong-willed, this he knew, but such vileness, such sickness and violent bloody evil? He must have answers, so with his own family ring we return to Madame Eva, who explains that with the ring we can bring back Stalvan from the dead and give the brother the answers that he seeks. In the confrontation, Tobias finds out the truth from his own brother's lips, that his brother did indeed murder the family, yet his brother says that they're not so different. Surely, Tobias has felt the anger so foul and vicious that it makes you want to tear someone to shreds. Aren't you feeling it right now? He asked, and as he does, Tobias Mismantle transforms into a Worgen. We take care of Stalvan once again, and Tobias decides that it's better to leave the past behind. He thanks us as he focuses on his new life, and whether that's going to be of a monster or a man, that's going to be up to him. And with that final story, we've reached the end of our creepy video. Thank you all so much for leaving so many comments and suggestions on the last video. I had a ton of fun researching these stories, and as always, if you have more, I still had a fair few suggestions. If you're like, hang on a minute, I thought of this one instance in the game, this is really creepy, then by all means, leave a comment down below and we might use it for a similar video next year. Who knows? I'm going to end this video with a little montage. I thought it was fun to ask a few pictures from you guys and girls. I requested on Facebook and Twitter your favorite scary locations or screenshots from World of Warcraft, and here are a few that were sent in. I've got one more special video planned in the spirit of Halloween, but that's going to be released closer to the end of the week, and coming Friday I'm hoping to do a little special Halloween stream with spooky games and all that good stuff. Anyways, that's for later this week. For now, we've been going on for long enough, so thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!
You'll betray your friends.